Hello, Internet, and welcome to this month's IGDA Helsinki/Finland event that is an art sig. Sorry, I feel like I hear a little bit of a. I think it's Chris from your microphone. Like maybe if you can mute the microphone because I heard a little bit of a reverb there. But yeah, so sorry about that. This is 2021. Technical issues. That's everyday life, isn't it? Anyway, today we're going to have a wonderful little event about concentrating around art. We have 4 different wonderful industry professionals, and we will go through them very, very quickly. And after that, we will, or very soon, and after that, we will have Chris, who will show us a little presentation. And after that, we will go through all the artwork that has been sent to us, and we will give some feedback on how to improve and what to look at and all that stuff. I'm not an artist, so don't listen to me. Listen to all these people around, like who will talk soon. And after that, we'll look at a couple of portfolios, and in the end, there will be one-on-one on our Discord. We will get the link. Don't worry about it. We'll paste it, and you can go to the Discord, and you have one-on-one with any of these artists, and you can show your works or something and ask for tips or whatever. It's up to you. But yeah, so let's have a quick round of introductions. Anyone who really wants to go first?
I'm happy to if no one
You're more than welcome.
Everyone's shy. I'm Chris Solarski. I'm from the UK originally, based in Zurich in Switzerland, and I have very sort of frequently connected with Natasha Skolt in Turku, and we've been in touch with Vesa before. So there's been a quite frequent meetups between IGDA Finland and IGDA Switzerland, which is the chapter that I manage, and I'm looking forward to giving a presentation today about my work. And you see 2 screens from me because I am going to be sharing one of them to show the presentation. So it's not that I'm egoistic or anything like that and need to double the space as everybody else. But that's me, game art, game theorist, and I'll be talking about traditional art techniques for game design. So anyone else?
That's wonderful. Thank you, Chris. Who wants to go next? Sergei? Wonderful. Go ahead.
Yep. Hello, my name is Sergei Panin, nickname Leluch. I'm working as an environment artist in Remedy Entertainment. I'm from Russia and moved here almost 2 years ago. I have been working previously in the outsourcing company Spirisoft for AAA games as environment artist, and before that I have been working on mobile games. Right now I'm doing environment art, also doing illustrations on environment, so a little bit of 2D stuff, and I'm teaching a lot of people on mentorship and also online schools, different ones. So doing this for almost when I started my career, so almost like 5 years ago.
Wonderful. Thank you. That was great. So we have 2 down and 2 to go. Who wants to go next? Okay, Caro. Wonderful. Thank you.
Yay. So, hi, I'm Caro. Carolin had to cheat that for some reason. I'm nervous. What? So, 2D artist, freelance illustrator. Didn't start off my gaming career so strongly because for some reason I thought that studying full-time and working full-time would mix. Did not. But general nerd connoisseur and actually a master of arts and educator. So what I may lack in actual, game work stuff, I know I will compensate. I know how the brain works for studying. Yeah. So a teacher, biggest vice is that I'm baroque. I abuse details, and I am very aware of that.
I mean, if you don't, like, who is going to abuse them? So it's good someone does that. And also, so 2D over there, and then the last person we have is Ivan. The floor is yours, Ivan.
Yeah, hello, I'm Ivan, and I'm vertical, unlike other, sorry for that. I work as a senior game artist in Rovio, and basically what I do is visual development for mobile games, and I do that for 4 years already, maybe 5, who counts? I mean, yeah. So I guess that's it about me. Just drawing for games and trying to share the knowledge when I can with also with the events that I used to do. Hopefully, we'll do in the future. So the theme park, probably somebody could know about it, somebody don't. So hopefully, it will get back. But yeah, drawing for games, making events. That's what I do.
I like how you say like that's nothing. That's quite a lot. So I tip my hat. Also, I do like your hat. You have a very, very cool hat. I think that's all of them. And yeah, and so my name is Hedley. I'm IGDA Finland's chair and IGDA Helsinki coordinator. But we're not here for me. We're here for something much prettier than me, and that's art. And so we're not going to go straight to the art yet. We're going to go first to Chris, and Chris is going to tell us a bunch of stuff. Wonderful thing. So the floor is yours.
Sure, thank you very much. I mean, I think we started a little late, so I'll try to maybe speed up the presentation so I don't eat into the portfolio reviews, which I think are perhaps more important for the attendees today. So I hope you can see my screen. I'll keep the sequence on the left sort of helps me. Usually I have it hidden in presentation mode when I'm speaking, but online I miss out on that opportunity. And I wanted to talk about traditional craft and user experience design. And the reason why that's sort of unique, sort of something that I'm very passionate about, is because I've written 3 books which sort of gradually explored sort of very focused area of craft, traditional craft, and that was with shape language and structural composition in particular. And I'm sort of the first one is drawing basics in video game art, which was really focused on drawing and game art. But the last one is on game design. But they still, all 3 books share a very strong relationship to this, trying to adapt traditional craft. So what techniques did the old masters use, and increasingly how do they affect the user experience? And drawing is still very much an important influence on my work, and sort of, and I hope sort of something that you'll perceive as being very important to the user experience design. So it's, you know, not game art, not what the game looks like, but what it feels like. And the reason why I'm sort of very passionate about this is because the thing, I think the most progress I've done as an artist has been in organizing a sketch club here in Zurich, where we invite, you know, in a normal year, we invite people on campus to come and draw a model, a live model, which who dresses up as a cosplayer or, you know, like someone from a video game or from an anime. And in doing these very fast drawings, like sometimes they're 1 minute, sometimes 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So this is an example of a 1 minute drawing. This is a 5 minute drawing. And especially because I'm working with like a fine liner, a permanent marker, you know, every line has to count. And what is important in this process is that each line is not only trying to describe the fabric or the look of the character, but it's the energy of that line, you know, so whether it's a supportive line where we use straighter lines, whether it's a curving one to communicate a sense of energy, you know, this is what's really valuable and very much related to playing video games, you know, where we have, you know, we have to make split-second decisions about something that we're observing. And something that potentially has an aesthetic structure to it, as something aesthetic of value, and we process that through our bodies. You know, we see it, we think about it, and we put something down on a piece of paper if we're an artist, or we input something into the analog stick if we're a player, for instance. And this is what I want to develop in this presentation, and I hope everyone is still sort of seeing. So and this kind of is important for me to highlight, that games, as wildly different as they seem from traditional arts, they are very much a revolution, not very much an evolution in art history, and not so much a revolution, that there is a very strong artistic heritage that we can benefit from if we understand these fundamental concepts more. And so the idea is to, really look at shape language. And I often ask, I don't think I have time now to explore the value of each one of these shapes for all the listeners. But normally I would ask you to even try drawing your signature to see objectively which of these shapes that you align with. So if you have time, you can potentially write that down, just to exercise drawing a signature as large as possible on an A4 piece of paper, and then ask yourself, is my signature more circular or more rectangular or more triangular? And understand that a signature is something that is very much an expression of yourself. You designed it, and you also have to perform it in a particular way each time. And when we start to look at other people's signatures, we can also do this signature exercise by copying the signatures and interacting with the aesthetic quality of each line. So here we have a much more curving one, and you could sort of copy this line structure and get a feeling for what it was like for this person, whoever this person is, to author the signature. What was the kinesthetic experience to their bodily tension in performing these lines? You could also do a copy of this signature and just feel that this one's definitively more jagged, and the body tension by comparison is much more anxious, and there's much more tension in that body. So the powerful thing about this exercise alone is that it's an exercise in kinesthetics. So what are the aesthetics of movement associated with each signature? And the other one is that you, by copying these signatures, whether you had an opportunity to write them down or to mime them like a music conductor, is that you have physically empathized with each one of these figures, authors. And the one on the left happens to be Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States. And the one on the right happens to be Donald Trump. So this is, for me, a powerful way to transmit physical experience. And what are games without interactivity, without physical experience? They're no longer games. There is an active element in every game, otherwise they can't be classed as interactivity or an interactive art form in the first place. So this is why I feel it's important to focus on these kind of concepts. And we don't have time for this video, but there is a powerful thing that heightens our physical response to interactive art, and that is mirror neurons. So you can definitely look it up, like the body transfer illusion or the rubber hand illusion. The idea is that we as people very quickly can sort of embody the activity that we are looking at on a subject. So if someone is doing a ballet performance, if someone is doing boxing, if you're looking at a painting with a particular curvy lines or aggressive lines, then our body responds to that in a very powerful way. And this is just a clip from Is That My Real Hand? So I definitely encourage you to look that up online. And what it highlights is that even without any physical contact, any sort of explicit contact with a subject, our mind can can very easily project our sense of identity and even physical experience, if it create a physical response to something that we're looking at. And in games, this means, to use a quote from Kiri Miller, is that games are a powerful medium for archiving bodily experiences. And so I'll kind of skip through this for time, because I still have just 10 minutes left. And so the idea is that by understanding that shape language, even embedded within a signature, creates particular physical tension, which we can use to sort of tune our experiences. And the idea that we can even physically respond to something that we are observing, and we can archive these experiences and have others interact with them, means that we can take a lot of powerful techniques like structural composition, which is used throughout history in classical paintings, in animation, in pop advertising, in film. And start to use that in a way to tune our video game structures. Sort of this is what kind of behavior you assign to avatar, what kind of pathways you structure in your environment, sort of down to how you lay out your objectives and waypoints. And the idea is to gradually think of a video game as a canvas, as something very similar to classical painting, and all the line tension that we embed in that can have a powerful kinesthetic experience on the player. But at the same time, this is also a very powerful approach for us as designers, because game tools like Unity, the game engine itself, and Unreal are of course maths-based. Games are a maths-based medium. And the fantastic thing about shape language, of course, it can be both defined visually, but also mathematically. And we can sort of see this in the sequence of triangles, which have a narrative element to them, this kind of escalating tension and distortion present here. And to jump through very quickly, it's important for me to highlight that shape language itself has a very kind of idealistic, classical history to it, classical background. But as designers, especially designers in games who wish to extend the aesthetic scope of the medium, it's important to realize that modern art has started to challenge these tactile and idealized concepts associated with shape language. And what it's important to understand is that we have to start thinking, especially in terms of disability aesthetics. Okay, sorry, my son is interrupting me. So you'll have to wait. Sorry. To understand that these concepts are sort of idealized, and they limit the aesthetic scope of games, where in modern art, even the tactile value of everyday objects is being challenged by artists like Mary Oppenheim. The representation of bodies in modern art isn't reflected to the same degree in video games. And even the concept of identity, when we have artists like Kim Noble, who has sort of multiple personality disorder, and several of those artists are several of those figures within her are artists, and you can imagine that each one of those, perceived through these different artworks, has a different kinesthetic view of the world, and also the sensory experiences are very, very different. So it's important for us to start to expand this scope and think more in more diverse terms. How can we create experiences that aren't idealized, and sort of these archiving these bodily experiences, these kind of multiple sensory modes of expression is a very interesting challenge. And so I'll jump quite dramatically through the presentation just to highlight that when we talk about shape language and structural composition in games, what is really important to highlight is the movement of players through these spaces. And I also want to highlight that the method that I promote in my most recent work, the interactive empathy and embodiment method, is that we should be thinking less about what players will be doing, so like these gameplay challenges, these formal driven experiences, and more about the transient physical and emotional nature of the people that they will become while playing. And it's tools like this, the Ubisoft DNA tracking system, which highlight the art of games. This is the interactive aesthetic quality of movement, of player tracking tools, and even a friend of mine, Iran Rao, who works at Riot Games, even tracked mouse movements of different players playing League of Legends, and turned it into an artwork. So even this is fascinating to see the art of player movement being used in sort of a fine art context. And my work really just explores this boundary between, expressing yourself through your signature, for instance, or creating these kinesthetic thumbnails, and defining the sensory experience of the player. And how can we define that up front and then orchestrate the whole structure of the system in support of this objective, this, what do we want the player to feel and experience first, and then how do we design the mapping of the controls, how do we design the setting of the waypoints, the music, everything in support of a particular physical tension that we want to evoke from players. And important also to highlight that we often lack a lot of this aesthetic diversity in games, that games tend to explore a very narrow range of movement. An action game will have like a lot of aggressive fighting in it, and if there is ever any semblance of a more meaningful narrative, it's usually pushed towards the cutscenes. But it's important for us to have these experiences be played out in the game, so that the kinesthetic experience of the player is also varied. It's not just kind of pushed towards the cutscenes. It has to be when the player is in control of proceedings. And so games like Inside are wonderful because you have the submarine section, you have the swimming section, the one at the end, which is a bit of a spoiler, where the kinesthetic experience of the player is dramatically different, even though you're essentially controlling the same character, and that adds much more value. And on top of that, also to experience bodies that aren't perfect, like we have in The Graveyard by Tale of Tales. This sort of more, it's not even sort of as far from a formal game experience. You just have to walk down this path, but it allows you to experience what it's like to have a walking impediment, for instance, or getting over it with Bennett Foddy. It's an unusual way maybe to explore disability aesthetics, but it is a fascinating way to interact with an environment. And so that's why I think I'll leave it at that for today. That's just to highlight that drawing is a very powerful, underexplored tool for designing games. It's one that we can really use the craft associated with drawing, the craft of gesture drawing, observational drawing, shape language, and structural composition is very much analogous to inputting gestures into an analog stick, or even moving your head around in a very performative, artistic way. So if you're interested to learn more, then please do check out solarskistudio.com and its interactive empathy and embodiment, which is free. I should highlight that it's not that I'm selling something. It's just a new method for perhaps thinking about games and user experience in a different way, which is very much rooted in drawing and principles that I think will be familiar to the audience here. So that's it. Race to the finish line. We have 1 minute to spare. So I hope I'm happy that I didn't hold up the what I feel are more important presentations and feedback.
No, I think that was wonderful. That was actually quite interesting. It's a shame it felt like you had to rush a little bit. That I wouldn't have mind.
Okay, sure. I know. Well, we said so 5:30 was the deadline. So
I do appreciate staying to the deadline, but it was good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you very much. And please do check out Solarski, because that it's a very interesting kind of point of view and perspective, and I think something it would probably benefit most for checking out. Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much. And I guess we're gonna get to the meat of the event, which is the artworks. I guess we're kind of. I hope you're all already there to.
Sure. I'm very sorry. I'm looking after my son, so this is so unprofessional. But I have to go and deal. So you can get going. This is going to take one minute. But definitely get started, please, and I'll be back in a minute.
No worries.
Okay.
I feel like he did give us like a good lecture, so I guess he can get away from a couple of these. But hopefully he'll be back very soon. So let's see how this works. This is the first time we're trying this, so I'm gonna start on my stream. I'm gonna start showing these what do you call them, artworks, and then we're gonna start talking about them. So let's see. Boom. This is the first one you should all see right now. This sort of a futuristic monk type. This is from Emilia Pitkänen. We should be getting the portfolio link in the chat. I'm pointing here, but I realized my camera is not showing, so you know. But yeah, so you should be able to see her portfolio in the chat if you want to check that link. But this is her 3D art, and I guess I don't know. I guess the 3D artist maybe start, and then we can just sort of go from there. Anyone who really wants to start, take the helm. And welcome back, Chris.
Yep. I can start.
Okay, Sergei.
Okay, so
go.
Yeah, because I'm environment artist, I will, but I'm also a lighting artist, so I will focus mostly on the lighting because I think it was mentioned in the comments. So I think right now design pretty nice. I can't say anything about anatomy. For me, it's looking nice, but maybe a character artist will say something wrong. I think one of the problems that you have very strong key light, but fill light is not giving you like proper reflections sometimes. So you have key light, you have fill light, which is compensates the shadow. But first of all, your light like just white. I think some kind of a little bit different kind of lighting, like maybe go into the direction like sunlight can work better. And I think this idea of showing your face like in complete darkness, I think your skylight should compensate it. You can place maybe point light because face pretty nice, but it's almost impossible to see it. I can understand maybe it's part of the story of the character, but I think when you're presenting your character, it's better to like show everything in a good way. But what I can say, it's very good feeling from this character. It's looking pretty nice. So mostly I want a little bit more solid like presentation. So maybe take some references from game presentation as a lighting. Just take reference of the lighting as a reference and try to copy it in your work. And maybe pose. I'm not sure, but there are pretty a lot of ways how to do a little bit much more dynamic pose. But maybe artists here will disagree with me. It's just my personal feeling. But overall, it's pretty solid work.
Yeah, I mean, I can't talk too much about the technical implementation of this. I think when I just saw it, I thought it was a wonderful design. I love so much of the consistency of like this very round aesthetic. It's in all the decorations and the contours of the forms, sort of smaller details. Yeah, these almost flower-like things at the knees. It's such a wonderful concept, and also the minimalist use of color too, that you also have like colors in the same range. Sometimes they're more desaturated, sometimes stronger. So it's this is not my specialization, but I think sort of thinking what to do next for your portfolio. I mean, I would say you're in a very good way. The Sergei sort of suggestions are fantastic for sure to sort of bring out the character more, to present it in a clearer light. But I think just portfolio-wise to do more of these, and it's always great, I think, for studios to see that you can like to identify a studio you would love to work for, and maybe sort of start creating artwork to the same quality, but really geared towards the studio that you would like to work for, so that they can see that you have a passion for their work. But maybe the others can give something more technical feedback than me.
All right, that's great. Yeah. Ivan, Karo?
I can chime in. I'm the nerd who has gazillion notes.
Great.
I would actually go, like, I'm not a 3D artist, but what you asked specifically for lighting tips and, like was already said, more lighting sources. But I would strongly suggest you would look into how photographers light their subjects, like how they light their models and how they set the lights. You can pretty much put the same lighting specs in 3D and abuse them, maybe add color to the light. And you ask specifically for textures. You have wonderful like textile textures in there, but I noticed it's very similar. The textile is very similar with the pants, with the sash. And if you wanted to experiment with those, maybe add a third. You have metals and you have textile. Is there any other textile, like texture, you would like to add? Wool or wood to go in there? Not
or
maybe
leather
specific.
or...
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Ivan?
I can add one thing, and it's basically about general the portfolio. Chris actually touched that topic a little bit, that adding like more of those to the portfolio is a really good idea. And I'm just looking at your ArtStation page, and it says character artist. Although there's in terms of characters, there's a couple of those there. And in general, I would say the quality of the works in a portfolio is like this character, for example, is really high level. It's just like a studio level quality. You could see that it's technically, like you showed the topology, everything works. Like how many like polygons there, that depends on a particular project, but you can definitely see that it can work in like a console or PC game for sure. So it's technically nicely done. It's visually nicely done, so it's a good level. So basically, I would say the whole portfolio should be on the same level. And I guess I will be repeating that a lot during this presentation, because watching a lot of the other people's portfolio, it's basically almost the same. Like when you begin, you tend to put everything in. Everything that you have, and sometimes when the people start thinking about hiring people, they see, okay, they can go really high, but they also can go really low in terms of quality, and that's when the doubt comes in. So I would work a bit more on filling the portfolio with a similar quality art, like this knife, this character in particular. There's a really nice jacket there. There's a really nice backpack sculpt. Those kind of thing. And maybe if you have a title as a character artist in a portfolio, to bring more characters there. Yeah, actually there's a person which names is Sam Porask. He actually works specifically to do a portfolio, again, as Chris said, to get into Remedy. And it just consisted of several characters that were brought into Unreal Engine, so they were done from the beginning till the end, and that's how he got in, just by doing several characters. That was whole his portfolio. So you don't need to put everything, but this particular character is really nice. Just more of that and less of other not that consistent things in a portfolio would be really great. Sorry if I talked too much.
That was that was very thorough. That was very good. Really quick to Karo, like the artist answered in the chat, like the trousers are leather, the sash is kind of woolish material, the corset is satin, and the yellow outfit is silk, or or quote, at least the attempt was for those materials, end quote. So
Okay, could be also my potato screen. So didn't read perfectly to me. So me being the 3D noob, aka you get general player and viewer, maybe you can take something from that, make it just pop just a tiny bit more.
Maybe, because I can see that the trousers are a little different, but the sash and then the outfit I maybe wouldn't have noticed. So maybe a more dramatic difference if that's what you're kind of going for. But yeah, texture wise. But yeah, we gotta go for the next one. So I think we're done with this. Thank you, Emilia. Next one is, I'm not sure how to pronounce. Is it Georgi or Georgi? But this is his sort of weapon he's been working on, and we should get the portfolio in the link again, so make it happen. But yeah, so here's the weapon in question, a gun hammer. Who wants to go first?
I can mention the thing. The design was very, very interesting. Of course, it's combining two kind of seemingly disconnected objects, to create something unusual. And I like the overall concept. I think in the presentation as a portfolio piece, there's a lot that can be done, even just lightening the background, because the weapon itself is very dark and it's almost completely lost in a background of basically the same value. And so that's something to really bring out and emphasize the contours of the weapon itself. In the lighting itself, I think there's still a bit that could be done, maybe to make the lighting consistent too. That I think in a way, sort of a weapon like this can also be, you can think of it as a character. The compositionally a character, you focus almost all the energy on the visual contrast and everything on the face, and then everything else is sort of secondary or tertiary to that. And I think what's missing in this weapon is like a center of interest, like what is the most important thing for us to look at if you think of it as a character, because there's a lot happening, but there's a lot of details fighting for attention. So I think it would be good to sort of find some like something to focus on in general. So I don't wish to hog the microphone for too long, but I think the background and this center of attention would be good strategies for you.
Yeah, good tips.
I can say small. I just checked, because when I see it, I remind myself about Devil May Cry, because they like this, and also something like Final Fantasy, when they like this kind of fancy weapons with pretty cool ideas, or Bloodborne they also have. So, and I checked, and usually what will be nice, because if it's concept art, I want to understand how it works, and because for 3D artists, it can still be a lot of questions here. For example, right now, if we're taking as a reference weapon artist portfolios, they're trying to show how it works. Because, okay, we have a hammer, we're just hitting with them, or we have any kind of functionality. Because if we're opening like Devil May Cry art book and taking this as a reference, because this is a good reference, I can see that how the connection mechanism works, how it will go to the animator. I'm not sure it will be good to show like tons of sketches how you go to this design. Sometimes some people say it's required, some people not, but saying a little bit more, because I completely agree with what was mentioned before about lighting and presentation, but also like if it's a concept art, it should say a little bit more than just a picture. If you want to find a job as a concept artist.
If I can add to that, like when you said that, once again, not an artist, but like when you said that how it works for now, it's what's confusing to me is that if you see here that this is the where you hold your hand and that trigger is here, and normally you don't hold a hammer so that your finger would go to the trigger because you kind of hit it with two hands. It feels a little weird to have the trigger here. Like, for example, and this is just an idea, if the trigger would be here in the front, sort of like here. So when you hit something, the trigger will pull and then it will shoot. For example, that it would make sense that it gives more impact to the hit, or then make the trigger like a bigger thing here that you can have to squeeze your hands or something. Because this doesn't feel like maybe like a practical way to fire a gun hammer. Those are my two thoughts as a non-artist, just throwing it out there. But yeah, you guys, sorry for hogging it. Go.
I would actually concur. first thing I wrote like down is hammer time, because associations.
Yes.
But I thought it was amazing. It made me smile, so it gave me an emotion of what is this? This is amazing. This is the kind of end of the world weaponry you would see, like someone has put something together that's meant to destroy. That's how it feels. But right after that very confused epic feeling, underline confused, like Hel said and Ivan said before, where am I supposed to hold it? And that led to a myriad of other questions. But I think just with adding that functionality, that would be just amazing.
First of all, Ivan did not say about this thing yet anything.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it was sample, but as I understood, was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I would just underline again that a concept art is more about presenting the idea and how things work, and that is like not fully explored here. There's really nice rendering, which is a good thing, but it's not really a concept art because the rendering at the end, it's like game engine, which does the rendering. So the concept artist's job is mostly to explain how the things work and present a really nice design. And here, it's a really interesting overkill idea. So you hit something with a really heavy and then also shoot with a huge ammo, whatever there is. But I mean, again, how is it working? And coming back to the Chris's commentary about the detail level, it's a bit weird and readability kind of this thing that goes from the revolver. I don't know the name in English of that part, but it's a really interesting thing, but you can't read it right away. So I would clean up some shapes and think about what this particular thing is about. Is it about the revolver detail? Then you have to really put an accent there because there's a lot of design, as Chris said, and it's competing with each other. So one main idea per object or per character that is like right in the eye, right when you see it, should work. And more explanation of how it works, that would be the concept art work. Rendering the materials, well, it's cool, but it's not the main thing that concept artists do.
Okay, thanks. Really quickly, last thing to mention. I think this part, I don't know if we can get my screen full as full screen here, but like, is this a bottle opener? Because it makes me think of a bottle opener. I'm not sure. But yeah, thanks for Georgi, for sending this, and we're gonna go to the next one. This is Mia Nykänen. And this is the part. Once again, the portfolio should be coming into the links. Yeah, let's have it. Who wants to go first? Karo, you're shaking your notes, so take the floor.
Mein Gott. Before I start, sorry if I mention people's names wrong. I get the voice input and then I see your faces and they don't match. So I'm a little bit of an idiot here. So sorry about that. But yeah,
No
Mia, first of all, a lot of soft lights. You mentioned that this was a character that had something to do with China or
China
Asian.
with a modern twist.
Yes. Well, I didn't get the Asian part of it. For me, I couldn't find the detail that would communicate or have the discourse with me that would communicate that story part. And I would probably I do like the attempt of lights, but I would strongly suggest to use even abuse references here. Like my first thought was about the bike and drawing a normal bicycle without a reference versus with a reference. And I am sure you used references. I think it could have more polish with the shapes. Will not hug the floor, please.
Sure. I mean, I would lead on to that as well. So it's, I think it's very, you set yourself a very hard challenge. And I think if this is the first time you drew something as complex as a bike with curved forms, then I think you've done very, very well. I mean, when I teach, I always I show my students, how do you draw a circle in perspective? And then I tell them, try not to pick a prop that has circles, because you're just going to have a nightmare drawing them. So that you committed to this challenge is, I think, a very good thing. But it will, I think, fundamentally, like the structures is, the back wheel, so it doesn't look like it aligns with the front one, and there's the overall perspective, I think, does not match ideally with the character, even on some levels. So I think it's very important to go back to the basics, sort of drawing, 2-point perspective, getting a lot of Scott Robinson's tutorials, the drawing, forgotten the name of the book, I think it's Drawing Perspective or something like that. Scott Robinson manages the Design Studio Press, and there you can get really technical and learn the perspective inside out. I mean, the perspective book I'm referring to, I bought with the intention of reading from cover to cover, but it's so dry that I couldn't. But I think if you really want to get into drawing things like this, it's just dip into there as much as you can to polish up on your perspective and understanding the structure, how to translate a 2D design into perspective and then start to build form into it. I think that's a high challenge, but it will really pay off in the end. But as I said, you started off really well, considering this was the first time you went for something like this.
Yeah, I can add fast. I opened like your overall portfolio, and also I opened this girl on gray screen. And I can say that your girl is feeling in one perspective, vehicle in another perspective, but when you added background, it's in a third perspective. And this is like what creating the situation worse. And I can say that on the gray background, maybe it's even looking better because you don't have this distraction. Because character done, and if we removing like a bike, character looking much better. We like from the like drawing and perspective. So, and painting vehicles in perspective, it's insanely hard. I'm painting, but I'm never painting this kind of vehicles. I'm only 3D modeling because I understand that with my skills I will do mess up. So from my side, I see also environment is creating a little bit of distraction from your character, maybe more fog and reducing these lights, because you see your background is blurry, but somehow some shapes are pretty accurate, and this creating even more distracting. Why it's so? Because I'm lacking a little bit of fog, which will be atmospheric fog in this. You have explosion and fog from the explosion, but we're all like atmospheric fog, and distance is not working properly because we have character, we have only building, and we do not have anything in between to understand the scale, because maybe these buildings are like 10 kilometers away, or maybe 1 kilometer away. We do not have anything to understand, and this is killing scale a little bit, and which is also affecting the overall feeling of your work.
Can I ask one thing? If the person that provided that Mia is online, can you message what kind of work do you look in the game industry? Because the digital art is a pretty kind of large area, and it would be nice to hear like where you're aiming for, because for me it's a bit hard to evaluate the drawing outside of this usage. If it's as far as illustration goes, you got that like feedback from other people, but like where are you aiming, and who do you want to become? That's interesting, and those kind of works should kind of feel your portfolio. There, concept artist is my goal. So again, then we need to come back to some comments that we gave for the previous piece of art, that this is an illustration and concept art is about how things work and what do they deliver. It's about the idea that they represent. So what would be the main idea about that character, and how is it like existing in this world, some kind of storytelling there, something that should be worked at as a concept artist. Illustration is just a tool for concept artists. So but yeah, like those comments about the perspective that you got, they're all valid, but also try to think what's the purpose of the illustration that you're doing, because illustration again is just a tool. I'm keeping adding just like a general things about the industry instead of really specific comments about the work. Sorry for that, but like everybody says
that's
really
good stuff as well.
valid points, so not much to add there.
Yeah. So I quickly say that so Mia mentioned that she normally only draws fantasy / medieval, so this was like kind of just to challenge herself, and like I think Chris was said that like putting yourself into this uncomfortable situation is always a good thing that you can learn. And so I'm not sure from her comment. I don't think this was what she's gonna like try to find a job with. It was more kind of to just push herself artistically, which is always, commendable. But yeah, thank you for that. So that was Mia, and now we are gonna go to Tiina Leskinen. Again, in the chat, we should get the portfolio link. Somewhere. I'm always pointing to the sides, and I remember that my camera is not on. Anyway, so this is Tiina. She does 2D art and 3D art. This is, as you can see, a 2D one, but yeah. You guys, it's all
Sure.
you.
I'm happy to jump in. Like you commented, one of the things was how to increase the sense of depth in this image. And firstly, it's a wonderful piece of art. So, I hope the feedback that we give here will be of some help, kind of specifically to answering your questions. So I wanted to talk about the depth. So there are several tools that you can use, particularly with atmospheric perspective. I think linear perspective doesn't fit so much, but there might be ways for you to implement that, sort of like using some kind of something natural to the environment. But if you deal with like things that are connected to atmospheric perspective, and I put overlap into that category, and also repetition. So those are the two I wanted to highlight with this work, that you have repetition. You have these frog-like creatures, one she's holding in her hands, and also in the foreground, and also the mushrooms as well. But there is no consistent structure to this. Like the frog, which she's holding, which is further away from us, is the same size practically as the ones in the foreground, even though the distance seems to be quite great between the frogs in the foreground and the one that she's holding. So I would imagine those to be much larger in a way, or make the one in her hand smaller. And the same with the mushrooms, that if something that is in the foreground will tend to be much bigger than the same object in the background. And you can use this as a scaled sort of like to show the increasing in distance using a smaller repetition and smaller instances of that repeating object. And the other one is overlap, that the character is sitting alone in this scene. Overlap is an incredibly powerful tool. That you say the T rule, sort of like the idea is that you try to make these very strong intersections, between one object is clearly in front of another object, and so on and so on. And because this character is kind of framed more with a vignette than with overlapping forms, it prevents the viewer from having a visual stepping stones into the scene. So we could sort of even imagine, completely silhouetting the frogs in the foreground and adding more stronger elements, and then maybe putting something in between this foreground element and the figure, which will allow us to visualize the sequence of steps that we could take, so to speak, to enter this scene. Otherwise, there's this foreground element, and then the character's kind of isolated in this vignette, which doesn't overlap the character in any way. And just by extending the leaves that are kind of silhouetted in the top left and having them cover some of the mushroom head would already show us like there is space in between us and the character, and we could perceive it more. I think that's my main tip. So I'll pass it on to somebody else.
Right. Good. Thank you. Who feels like they want to tackle on this? Like Tina said herself, she's looking forward to being roasted in her comment. So
I can say very, very fast because from my perspective, I really like what I see. But answering like in depth, and I can say every environment artist no, it's fog. Fog is the greatest opportunity to create depth of your scene, and also in illustration. Mostly why you lose the depth of the image, because your background, it's like, if we will convert it in grayscale, it will be blurry and it will be the same color all the time. So if you want to create a depth in your scene, only what you need to do is create a gradient for just increase the brightness on the bottom part and reduce the brightness on the upper part on everything what after the brushes after the character. In this case, you will have this transition from light to dark on the background, and it will be. And why we're doing this? If we will have a lot of contrast on the background, it will look too fakey, because it's in real life background not very contrasty, and it's very important to remember about it. But when we have atmospheric fog, usually all the time, or like mostly, let's say it's volumetric atmospheric fog, and because of that we have a little bit background a little bit brighter, and we have this transition from bright to dark. And if you will just do it in your wood, you will have this depthness of the image. So this is only what I can recommend at this, and you will have depth of this forest.
all right, thank you. Anyone else? I think Chris is having some issues maybe there, but Ivan, Karo?
Well, again, I can add a little bit about the purpose of the picture. If it's a character design, it should be more about the character, maybe even separate from the environment. If it's environment design, there should be more focus on the environments, and some of the things it should be thought through. If it's a storytelling, which most likely is this illustration for maybe thinking about what's the main story here and trying to accentuate it with the angle of the camera, because this particular might look a bit straightforward, as long as the camera goes. So again, thinking in general about the purpose, for me it's really hard to judge the picture. As far as drawing skills, it's really nice, maybe not that polished, but that goes with the time and practice. Perspective is there in not a bad way, let's put it like that. So in general, everything is there, but again, what's the purpose, and does this picture actually serve the purpose? Yeah, I hope I'm making sense.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense to me. Karo, do you want to add anything? If I can say one thing that does sticks in my eye is this part here. If you look at the knees, because I think you can see that it's some sort of shoes, but then these are I don't know if they're armor or something, but the way they're curved is that when you would stand, they would dig into the knee. I don't know. It's just something that stuck into my non-artistic eye. Anyway, Karo.
Yeah, so notes. Also wrote working with grayscale. It will probably pop out, making that picture black and white or grayscale where the depth is lacking, so the background would go just gray. So all the tips, what was said, I'm putting my name under them, like bonuses there. But I know you weren't going for materials. You said it explicitly in your text. And I just was curious, is it like materials as in textures on like the clothing and the grass? Or were you skipping purposefully also the fact that, for example, light behaves with materials? For example, leaves are translucent. So that could give that extra little oomph to your pictures, that the light actually goes through the leaves. You have a fantastic shadow on the like hat mushroom leaf there, but it feels plasticky because the light doesn't travel through, it just casts a shadow on the leaf behind. So maybe that could be nice, worth thinking about.
Yeah, that's not a bad point. I think it could maybe apply because the ears look quite thin, so maybe into the ears as well, and like I'm not sure if like in the clothing. I think there's maybe a little bit. I'm not sure. But yeah, good points. And I really like the frogs. They're really cute. Okay, so that was Tina. Thank you, Tina. And we're gonna go to the next one, which is Esther Carreon. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. Esther Carreon. And before we go that, I'm just going to say Chris unfortunately had to drop. There were some technical issues, but also he had to go, and so it's the four of us who will continue this bravely to the very bitter end. All right, let's go. So Esther, we have Esther has a kind of like just again, the portfolio will be there, and it's sort of character study. But yeah, you guys, boom. One of you, Ivan,
Yeah.
anything to say?
Yeah, I'll just open it up in a bigger picture as well. So some of the works I was just skimming through, so I paid a little bit more attention. Just a sec. So when I looked at that character again, it's again talking about the purpose of the character, where does it go, and what's in general this concept is for. Is it was saying study, right? Right?
I'm not.
No.
So from what I've understood, it was like character study, but I'm not sure. There's not like.
It's just like it looks like a character design, and again, when people are presenting their designs, it's really hard to. I'm keeping repeating myself. I keep repeating myself about like it's hard to appreciate something else. Is it for a mobile game? Is it for a AAA game? Like what's the platform that it's going to be? What's the setting that it's going to be in? And maybe like some additional storytelling things. As far as the like drawing skill goes, obviously it would be nice to pay a bit more attention to anatomy, but here like everything is stylized and hard to judge that as well. However, even if you do stylize, there has to be some implementation of the anatomy because that gives the kind of feeling to the character. In general, nice colors. I like the approach with like separating different parts of the character with different color like accents, because that brings in readability. So like there's a lot of good decisions there. Drawing skills, as I told you, it's just a tool. They need to be improving like constantly, no matter what your level is. But yeah, I'm lacking the concept. That's the main context. That was the word. The context for this concept. Yeah. So and that's also the thing that happened with a lot of works here. And this is something that is important to understand when you present your portfolio to whoever is possibly hiring you, because they will be looking for a person for particular tasks, and proving by your portfolio that you're going to solve those tasks is really important. And when I'm looking at that picture, I'm just thinking, it's a nice drawing and some cool color designs and stuff. What is it for? And that's where I'm getting a bit lost.
Fair enough. I do like the gradients. Yeah, sorry, go on.
I'm agree. For me, what I see, it's feeling like a picture, but not feeling like a art for portfolio. I mean, for example, if I want to see like a portfolio, I'm liking like, and as I said, I'm environment for the artist, so I have like I want to see these maybe in perspective positions when I see character in volume. This is like super nice that you have like front and side. This is super nice. And overall, I can say that character design pretty simple, but it's readable, and this is very nice. It's already good. And I want to say it's simple, but not. I remember the character, but I really want to see perspective position of this character, maybe with right hand. Like I want to feel like emotion of the character about what's this character. So it's like it's very great first step for a even good concept, and it can be done with even like more simple art style, because if we will open current concept art, usually they have lines, they have flat color, maybe gradient and shadows. Maybe in this case camera from perspective with similar kind of shading but with shadows will be nice to understand the character of this to understand the character of this character. Emotions. I want to feel emotions of the character and about what it is.
Okay, yeah, that was. I think those are good. I will add when you said that it's clear. I like the silhouette is very clear. I do agree. Like that's true. That is very good. But yeah, Karo. Sorry, I just jumped in before you were going to talk.
No, that's okay. My notes say I'm very curious where you could take this character if you would emphasize some shapes. Like I'm reading squares and triangles here, but it's still quite tame. Like could you do something with the hair, not breaking the silhouette, of course, but that's like only if you want to try and play with it and iterate it. But yeah, I wanted to give props. I'm getting a very strong Ghibli vibe, especially with like a strong profile with the nose. That's not something that people usually go with. Small petite noses, almost invisible. You get the drift. So
true.
big bonuses on this character. Actually has luonne.
Character.
Yeah, no. My God, I want to say something more, but now I'm blanking.
That's fine. But yeah, so this is the character design, character study by Esther, and I think I think we covered pretty well, and that was a really good point because I didn't think of it before Sergei mentioned that it's very clear. It is the readability is really good.
I actually remembered. Sorry, I'm horrible. Lines. Almost all of the lines are of the same thickness. That is might be a style choice, but you might want to consider drawing the lines on the character, inside of the character, lighter than the lines outside.
Yeah, that was good. It's a good point. See, listen to the artist, don't listen to me. Okay, so that was Esther. Thank you very much, Esther. And the next one is Milka Tertsunen. And let's go there. This is Milka's. And once again, the portfolio should be in the chat, or is in the chat. I trust my team. They know what they're doing. But yeah, so gone. Who wants to tackle this Terminator-esque picture? Okay, I'm gonna tell Karo because she's obviously shaking around, waving her hands. Go ahead.
I'm just so happy with the Terminator.
Yeah.
Reference, obviously.
Yeah.
Only thing I wrote down is composition. I love the composition of those building blocks, scaffoldings, they give a really amazing V shape. And I would have died to see the same shape kind of repeating with the characters. Like the mass is not coming straight, but a little bit forward. I know you can't do that maybe with the cityscape, but replicate that shape maybe in like more, it would have been so dynamic. But that's all my feedback.
Okay, fair, yeah. I guess with the characters, you could have kind of done with the faces that they're like one in the center, and yeah, I get what you're saying. Sergei, Ivan, anything?
Yeah, I can say on this one, it's pretty strange feeling. This feeling like I will say that what's the point of this art? Because for me, it's feeling like the book cover, usually something like that, or maybe music album cover. So in this way, and this there like can be very interesting in some way. What I think when I see right now, I see this front metal frame, and they have done in one art style. After that, a little so with line, with flat colors, a little bit of scratches, but still it's flat lines, flat color with lines. After this, I see character which done in more, I can say, sketchy style. It's black and white. It's more rough. And after that, we have characters, metal ones, which have been done in different style again. So we have a bunch of styles. And I have a question why we have a bunch of styles. So it's very hard to do feedback on this one because I really like overall general idea, but because it has so many different ways, I do not understand the point. But because if the point to have attention, it's completely working. As I said, it can be like an on music album or book cover, and it will take my attention because it's the proper goal of this thing. If it's want to be art, in this case, I have questioned why it has different styles of painting different parts of the picture. So yeah, this is my concern on this one.
Yeah, I see what you mean. That's a good point. I assume that the main character having very different, like standing out, is probably like a conscious decision to. But like it would be interesting to know what they're going for here. But yeah, Ivan.
Might again repeat myself that again there was already some comment about the purpose. It does really look like a cover for something or a, I don't know, movie poster, and in that case the composition and everything kind of works. Obviously it could be like more dynamic and it could be more ideal. Everything can be more ideal and done better. There's no end of how can we improve. And also sometimes guys, we all have like lacking some skills, and sometimes your ideas are much cooler than what you can do. So I guess where those style changes go from, like you could do some of the parts in a bit like in a 3D application, then just overpaint a little bit because it's a complex perspective. So cheating is okay as long as you kind of achieve your goal. And we all kind of struggle with, like, when you have to make this kind of a illustration, you have to fight with a lot of demons, like perspective, your drawing skills, like your rendering skills, the design skill, composition. There's so many demons you have to fight. And I guess this was a really good fight. I mean, like a lot of demons were conquered here, and it doesn't matter that some of the demons like took a little bit of the land, but I mean there's really good potential there, and everything will be okay. Like if you just keep practice, like all of those skills like will even at some point. I'm not there, like just by any chance. I am not there. Like, well, my skills and my ideas are on the same level. I'm struggling with the execution a lot as well when I do something. Sometimes I'm struggling with the ideas. So, cool idea, and I think just practice would bring it. I would actually like to see that picture like in 5 years. If the author would try to redraw, like re-see that particular image like in 5 years, like fix the composition issues and they see, and like rendering issues they see, stylistic issues they see, because it's a really cool idea, and I can see just there are some just executional problems that the person has, and it just doesn't make sense to show all those little details that could be better. Of course, I mean, don't worry, it's really cool what you did. I mean, it's really nice, and you're gonna be there when it's gonna be fantastic at some point.
I completely agree pretty much with everything that everyone said. The one thing I would add is what I found odd is that you have this person maybe kind of feeling trapped behind this thing. Maybe it's metaphorical, maybe it's not. And then this Terminator zombie robots are coming, and then we have this one robot who's kind of just like, well, whatever, guys, I don't need you. And it's just kind of like it's very odd, and I'm like wondering what's the point of this droid? Is it meant to mirror the woman? Is it meant to I'm not sure what's going on there, and that's just my 2 cents. But yeah, so this was Milka Tertsunen. Thank you very much. And next one is Annu Tanska. So this was specifically asking what are the things to focus on for improving, and so they mentioned that the textures were something that they didn't pay as much attention to, but like what they were trying to work on is composition, perspective, anatomy, and design colors. But like they would want to have feedback. Well, there's a long list, so essentially everything. So you guys,
Can I start right again? That's again coming back to my previous demons that like described that you named a lot of those. Don't try to fight them at the same time. It's a really complex illustration. I would struggle a lot drawing something like that from the scratch, and that would take me hours and hours and in like a few days to actually make something that would satisfy my taste. So that's a lot of demons to fight at the same time. And again, you incorporate design there. So besides just executional things, there's like design issues that I see here. Things are a bit more blank. I'm looking for some live design, like live details that would tell me that it's an actual CD. There's no communication in between those houses. Something that, like, if you look at any animation kind of movie from Japan, you could see a lot of those wires going there and back. So, and like maybe some of the park, like somewhere like the real city layout. Also, the horizon is in a bit weird position, because with this kind of perspective, you wouldn't see the horizon at all in that picture. But again, this is like so many demons to fight. I'm just trying to tell you guys, try to practice one thing at a time, maybe a couple of things at a time. But when you try to tackle design, execution, which execution is a really complex thing as well, you kind of obviously, and you feel like you're not satisfied with what you achieved. You have to go for like a smaller but more sure victories there. I would take one building, for example, here, and try to design that, of like a really cool building, or a couple of buildings. Design the street, maybe even in the front view. And again, if you're going for a concept artist, that's one thing, right? Then you go for ideation process and just like being able to deliver your ideas good and your sketches and drawings. If you're going for the illustrator, yes, then you should probably practice all the things that illustrator needs, like practicing with the perspective. Just don't hesitate to put perspective lines there in actual horizon in your drawing. If you would do that, you would understand that horizon is really above the picture that you drew, right? And there's a lot to practice there, and that will just take time. Don't expect really fast progress there. But yeah, the materials, yes. The lighting, very much yes. The perspective, everything could be better, but it's a really complex picture. It's really, really complex picture, and maybe I would roll back and practice on smaller pieces and try to practice those materials. Though something you could finish like just pick your project, one project that you can finish in a few hours each evening. It's a small thing, like try on props, small props, and you could like practice on those. The perspective, drawing even one thing in a complex perspective is a challenge by itself. And rendering all the materials there, yes, I would just reduce that. Don't try to go into the Mars right away. Just train here on the Earth.
Yeah, I can say what I see. Again, I will say about fog. Right now, we do not understand. I will not repeat about perspective, because about it is what already said. It's one of the most complex perspective which is possible. It's rotated camera, so it's inclined camera, and also position perspective, very hard to work. So, but from my perspective, from my point of view, what I see except this. First, if we're talking about lighting, first we need fog to understand the deepness of the city, because you will have these fog gradients of the color which are coming to. First of all, we need to separate background, foreground, and middle ground, and you're using fog for doing this. Also, you are adding fog and gradient to create depthness of the city. Of course, we need practical lights, because right now we have formed city shapes are not. We have very big field of view, and still city do not change in so much. But in this case, with this kind of camera lens, it should be like field very shrinked. So it's very complex from the perspective. Another moment, like if we're talking about lighting, we should remember right now we see shadows, but I do not see casted shadows. If I have a building, it will also have a shadow on other buildings. So if you have a building, it will also affect other buildings, and we will see in this kind of environment. This is why it's even more complex. Every city high house will have shadow on itself and other houses. And if you want to sell this affecting of the city environment, you should like draw additional shadows as a shape from one building on another building. And that's why from the lighting perspective, it should be super hard. So if you have this golden hour, and mostly what we see here is like a sunrise or sunset, it's almost like golden hour, you will have very sharp shadows, because it's like very position of the sun in this way. But you will have, of course, shadows will not be dark, but they will be much more hardened than what we see right now, and the shadows will be softened only because of the practical light, which you can add like a like lamps from the street, lamps on the rooftops, and all of this, and of course perspective also super complex, which should be updated. But overall, characters are super cool, and they're very interesting to see, and focal point of the picture pretty understandable, but it's very, very, very complex illustration.
Yeah, Annu, I'm taking my metaphorical hat off for you. Like this subject, like the city with these characters and these poses with this light, insane challenge. So I think I'm not sure if you've done this type of work before, but if you haven't, if this was your first attempt, I think it was pretty damn good for a first attempt. And my God, am I getting My Hero Academia vibes from this? My inner weeb is just dying from happiness seeing this. But that said, I would suggest if you like this type of dynamic works, pick a work you like, any work you like, and deconstruct it. And from there, you might get some pointers how you would like to build your own like dynamic compositions. Won't go into depth there, but perspective 3-point deconstruction pictures, go for it. Don't stop.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, if I may, I would add a couple of things, because I think there's been a lot of good points. Some things that like struck to my eye is that the city is a little bit weird in the sense that it doesn't feel like there's enough room for roads and like for cars and traffic to move around. Also, the city seems completely dead. There's not a single window with any light or anything in it, which seems really weird. And then also all the roofs are completely empty, when normally there's like antennas or like what's the word, chimneys or anything, or birds. There's no animals, there's none of that, like something to kind of give it more life and make it. I understand that these roofs are probably meant to be quite simple because the attention is here on the characters, but at the same time, like it just doesn't, it feels like a prop city, like a fake city because of all of these things. Maybe I was thinking, maybe, if you have a chance to go high, take a picture and then just try to redraw that, or like trace it through the picture or something to kind of get an idea of how those go. Those are my 2 cents, whatever. Yeah, so that was Anna Taska. Thank you very much. And then we're going to the next one, which is Alisa Mäntynen, character design. And yeah, the portfolio, once again, in the links. In the chat. The link is in the chat. There we go. But yeah, so who wants to tackle this little character? I saw you raise your hand.
Oh, I went in without raising my hand.
Okay, Ivan, go. No worries.
No, I have to raise my hand because I have a mute button here, but I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Ivan, please go first.
Sorry. So yeah, this particular work is really nice, and the character is. I can see some character behind this character, so it is storytelling. I can imagine it like a little cartoon with this character for sure, and there's a there is a personality, and there is like a cultural background to this character. You can see some Japanese notes there, or maybe even Chinese. Is it that like a Chinese treat on a stick which they have for New Year or whatever? Well, it's just
I've only seen it in America, so I have no idea.
I think it's a yukata.
You weebs.
Okay, so yeah, then it's more like the Japanese culture there. But I mean, like you can imagine it, and you can see whatever setting there is. This is what I was talking about the storytelling, and also there's really nice like drawing wise. I can see a lot of really nice lines and some even dynamics to the facial expression and stuff. So this is a good presentation for a cartoon character, even though you could lack a little bit of the setting, but just there is something about the setting in this picture. And I also looked at the portfolio, and like there, like I have a little bit of like some questions, because this particular work is on a different level to many other works in the portfolio. So again, I would suggest it's better to have 3 really strong works than 15 inconsistent and quality works in the portfolio, because that would raise a lot of questions. And again, try to decide who are you going for. If you're going for character design, then you need to have more character there. If you're going for, I don't know, mobile game artist, and if you're looking a job for that particular thing, which I think for that particular position, and I think in Finland it's much easier to find a job as a generalist in mobile games than a character artist. So then you would have to have some like mobile games art, which like props or asset designs in your portfolio. It's just like a small note, but here, just to take a look at your portfolio and see, or try to really objectively to judge, like this is a work that is much worse than that, or this is better than everything else. So try to understand how to even out in terms of quality or a portfolio, and have just like a few works there that really represents your current skill level and what is the job that you're looking for.
Well said. Well said. Okay, do you want to take over now, Caro?
I'm gonna so weep out on this again. So, first of all, amazing points to the accuracy of the kimono with the opi, with the like summer. It wasn't a yukata, my bad. Like a kimono jacket thingamajig, and this is giving me a major Elmira Duff tunes, like character vibes. And also Akane meaning red, like it all ties nicely together design-wise. I like the red apple, the red like ribbon thingamajig.
Yeah.
Yes. Even though that brings it more to the western part. It's like maybe like a tiny, I can't remember the term now, but they have this head like hair decoration piece with a red apple inside. With like it's a cushion apple, so that could have been a way to go design wise. But with the emotions, my only like sent here would be I would have loved if the ribbon would correspond with the emotion, like shape wise.
Oh yeah.
And I would have just spot on.
Yeah. That's true. Like have it like spike up or like go down, and yeah. That would be cool. Really quickly, I came to think of, I don't know how many of you know, but Moomin, Pikkumu, Little My, I don't know what's in English, but like that made me think of instantly. But yeah, maybe I'm just too old. Yeah, Sergei.
Yeah, small comment, very small. I really like what I see. Only one thing, and right now it will be the worst comment which can be. It will be about rendering. I do not understand why it has this kind of light on the hand here, because like the overall character had done a pretty flat, sketchy way. But for me, this part on this hand light is created this small dirt, which I do not like, because I see in some parts I see shadows on the characters, like from on the hand and on the legs. Also we see shadow, but on the hand, for example, which she's holding, we do not have. I understand this can be part of the style. I completely understand it, but I see a little bit dirtness in this rendering of the shadow, and I think overall character can be even better, like with completely flat, because this additional like lighting effects on the hand only created more dirt than proper rendering. So maybe go in proper rendering or not do it at all and be this like flat. But it's completely my personal, because it's still concept and I understand the character. So it's just, as I said, personal opinion.
Yeah, no, that's actually a good point. That there's like a couple of very stark shadows, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then everything else is very, very soft. So it's a good point. Yeah, it's a great little Japanese pikkumu. And thank you so much for Alisa Mantinen for sending it. And I was like, what's going on here? But it's like the watermark says. I thought I had something on my screen when I was looking at this. But anyway, yeah, thank you, Alisa. And then we're going to go to Mikko Leppäaho, some 3D. So this is actually 2 different pictures because there was a couple of different renders. But yeah, so take it away.
Yeah. I will start. I think first, like generic moment about presenting guns. Never render black gun on the blank black background. Do gradient. Do anything. Even better if you will have like small planes showing the shadows of the gun. It will be much better. Overall lighting, pretty okay. It's almost like a standard. I prefer when you have a little bit more charisma, let's say so, on the gun. A little bit strange. I think modeling is fine. Bake is fine. Gun overall a little bit too simple. It's better to show in your portfolio something more complex, but as a starting point, it's pretty nice. But we are going to the materials. And right now we have rubber, and we have something metal. And going to the metal is the most hard part. And this is what is weighted from the environment, not environment artist, sorry, but from environment artist also, from the weapon artist or prop artist. I do not feel any storytelling on this gun. We have this generic dirt, but if we have a generic dirt on the gun, that means that it's already been used, and that means that we need pretty big story how it was used. So in the connections of the element, you have to have edge wear. But again, it's very good because a lot of artists start doing edge wear in effect like everywhere. It's not how it's done. It should be very, very logical, because I think weapon artists, and I think modeling and texturing weapons is one of the most complex tasks, because who are checking guns, they're like insanely focused. They can understand what metal is done, how it been done. So usually a gun for metals are super complex because they have different kinds of effects on it, because of the special machines which they're using. They're using special temporal effects. So materials looking too generic for what is weighted in the portfolio. So all this rubber should have like, it has roughness effects, but they are like a little bit too random. They do not say in our story to us. But when you're doing guns, it should be very understandable. Okay, this is gun almost like have been used 1 year. We see the scratches. So right now requirement, because modeling guns pretty simple in some way. Because of that, the requirements for the guns are super high. It's weighted that it will be understandable, like they have scratches, they have connections here. It's like it was touched like 15 times. It can has markers. So it's as I said, it's modeled pretty nicely. It textured pretty nicely. It do not have generic mistakes, which a lot of artists are doing, but it's weighted to be one more step to have proper storytelling of this gun, that it should be understandable that it's used and how it was used.
Those were some great, very specific points. Who wants to follow up to that?
Nothing to add on my side. This is really particular work and really particular comments about if you're going for realism, like go for references and try to understand why the things are happening with the objects that you do and try to incorporate them in design. I think that was really good feedback.
I would say quickly about Sergei when you said that it's simple. It is a Glock, and I'm not sure if they chose it that they wanted to make it like a simpler gun, because Glocks are just super simple guns, so you can't make it a lot more fancier than that. But yeah, because we don't have a comment from the artist, so it's hard to say. But yeah, Karo, anything
there were more interesting works in the portfolio. There was like some there was a like a, how do you call this, like a protective hat, like metal helmet with, and also the rifle. So there were like a bit more interesting works there, and the only thing that was lacking from the presentation is just again the topology, I guess, in some cases. So we could like appreciate the quality, like how game ready the asset is. Also, would be nice to see some maybe maps displayed in a project as well. So it's not only, if you do this kind of thing, it's not only about how it looks, but if it's like a prop for a game, we need to also understand how technically it's working, how the maps are done. So this kind of things.
Yeah. Those are some good points. And yeah, sorry, go on.
No. I would have just commented that this was an amazing gun. Looked like a real gun. Like, yes, there are details. Excellent, like, feedback for the details. I like the smears, the dirt smears. They could have been more story. And because of that story, I went and looked at the portfolio as well. And I liked the helmet with the gunshot, with being on a cross with the dog tags. Just the composition of the dog tags cross helmet with a gunshot gave me so much more story-wise. So
Yeah. No, I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they kind of sent this because this is the one where they had least story and they were looking what to improve on. I don't know, because they didn't give like really any kind of comment on it. But yeah, there you go, Mikko. It looks like a gun. So I guess No, honestly, it is.
Actually,
it is
two.
good.
There's two guns in the picture. It looks like two.
But that's true. Actually, 3 guns. Boom. But yeah, that's really good work. And those are the last of the artworks we covered this time. Thank you for sending them. They're really, really cool, and it was fun to have a look at them and thank you for being here to talk about them. It was some good convo going on. Following this, we had a couple of portfolios, so we're not going to go through the portfolios one by one and like really we're because we've kind of talked about the portfolio, even especially has been talking about the portfolios quite a lot, which has been really good. So we've had some talk about that and how those are going to work. So we're going to be looking at a couple of different portfolios, and then I would just, to begin with, like to hear some of your general feedback on how to make like a good portfolio, and if you have any specific pictures on any single portfolio you want to talk about, yeah, do bring them up. But yeah, so here we go. Well, first we have, I'm just going to show them really quickly. First we have Minna Eriksson with a couple of pictures here. Then we have Kelvin Avey. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. A couple of different ones. I'm not 100% sure like if these are actually in the games already, like in the hub and Sea of Thieves. I don't know if they're just like fan made or not. The quality is quite high. And then we have Nikolai Jonason's, which is a portfolio which is like a fancy portfolio because it's like a digital book. But we'll be going through these, and yeah, guys. So please do share your thoughts, and we can go.
Okay, who want to start?
Uh-oh.
I can. If you
Go.
Okay. If it's okay, I will very fast. Will say a few words per each person.
Sure.
Like pretty fast. For Minna, what I see, it's pretty cool. It's pretty understandable style. But I think, first of all, I'm not super happy when I see like 2D and 3D. It's better to have focus because right now they're like 3D. After the, for example, Croc Remake project, it's like me and a few classmates. It's not super good to have this in your... You can have this in the blog, but for portfolio, it's better to have something more properly. For example, Wasteland, the latest one, it's a good example of 2D, and maybe if you will have much more of this. So for me, the main problem, I understand that you like environment, at least from what I see in the portfolio, but a lot of different things, and I can't understand, first of all, what is your work? What have been done in collaboration? So this is a little bit distracting. In your portfolio, I should understand that this is done by you. This is done with somebody, but in this case, it's going to the blog. If I will be interested in your additional work, I will go to blog and I will check it. And yeah, I think that's the only way. I think the style is overall fine. Maybe it's discussable to increase overall quality on 3D stuff because it can be easily updated more. But for example, as I said, with this latest one, Wasteland, pretty cool. On next portfolio, Kelvin, I can say it's very. I think it will be overall generic tip for everyone. It should be very understandable what you want to have with portfolio, because right now I'm opening and I open it, for example, the lantern lit gate. I need to open YouTube channel to take a look on it, and it's distracting. This is why portfolio on ArtStation, it's almost like a standard right now. It's clear to check. I want to see screenshots. I want to see, because video, it's take time. I need to click. It's distracting. Better if you will have clean shots from the start, and it will be very easy to understand. And for example, I only now see that there are additional screenshots on the bottom of the. So I think ArtStation is better option because it's free and it's easy to find. So that's overall what I'm feeling. So I see what you are doing. You are doing like props environment. I'm sure you do not need this time frame 5 weeks. We do not care. We only care about quality of the work. If you have done it for 5 months and it will be amazing quality, it's much more interesting. So I think it's not required to write the time frame. If you're showing that you're working in your portfolio for 1 week, I will only have more questions why you are uploading something what you have done in 1 week, because usually like good environment take months. So I think it's better to remove it from your portfolio. It's better to show, your portfolio should show the result. And if we're going to Nikolai portfolio, I think it's almost the same in comments. I see a lot of cool stuff in the portfolio, but I have so much stuff in the portfolio that, first of all, I can't understand what is your work and what you have done in collaboration with somebody. I do not understand what you want to do and what you just know what to do. I need to scroll up a lot of things, and I lose the focus. Portfolio, it's like your personal art exhibition showing this is my 5 best works and I want to do this for the whole entire life. It's almost like saying this, I can do this, and I want to do this. And because you have so many pages, I see a lot of cool stuff here. I really like how you present it, but after that I see, for example, interior with furniture, which are from artistic perspective is lower, but why it is in your portfolio. So I think it should be standardized, reduced, and just have more accent what you want to do and what you are doing the best. Because you are doing a lot of things, and it's pretty cool portfolio, but you have to show what you want to do and what you are doing the best. Okay, I'm done. I need to. Boom.
That was a lot. That was good.
I will go through, I will just give general comments because right after that I will need to run. Sorry for that, but I will just tell a little bit about how people are hired to the industry. And as I told you already, like people are hiring people to solve particular problems at work. Nobody is just, we need to hire somebody. They hire, like, for example, a 3D artist or environment artist or prop artist or, I don't know, prop concept artist. So there are particular jobs, and in some portfolio you can see that the person is concentrated on 3D. That's cool. In some portfolio there's tons of work and there's no focus on anything, and because of the lack of the focus, some of the quality is not it's like inch lower than it would have to be to reach the industry standards. So as harsh as truth might be, like the industry standards, if you're below that, even if you've got tons of stuff in your portfolio, it just doesn't go there. You need to go over that line, and you need to present like at least a few good works over that line, and only those. If everything is below that line, just take it out of your portfolio. That's it. It's not going to give you a job. And I think like just finding a job, like that's what we're building portfolio for. It's not just a boast about your skills and how many things you can do. It's about getting yourself how do you call this? I forgot the word left my mind. I mean, like you want a like job, and that's why you build a portfolio. So your portfolio is a project by getting this job, and then you can see, okay, I know that there are these companies working here in in this market, right? In this like in this country. And for me, it's much higher chance to get a position in these companies, but not in these companies. So concentrate on the companies that you really think you can get the jobs at, and build a portfolio that would correspond to the open positions that they have, or at least that you think, okay, if they would need a 3D artist, they would like to see that and that in the portfolio, because the style of their game is like that. So don't just treat your portfolio as a dump for everything you do, even though you could do a lot of things, but there should be a industry standard level in terms of quality that you need to reach, and you need to show the focus. And nobody hires just whatever artist. They need really particular people. Just try to understand whether you correspond to those requests, and build a portfolio for that. The portfolio is not just a dump. Like, you can make 5 portfolios for 5 different companies. This is the thing. So don't lock on the idea that you should put as much as you can in your portfolio. It's not like that. I hope I made sense. And I'm sorry, guys. I really need to leave. It was really nice to be invited, and like I'm really grateful for the opportunity to not make sense online. So have a great evening, and I hope I did help a little bit. But if anything, you can message. I think there will be some messages in Discord, and you can always like message me. I guess you could easily find me. I don't know. Maybe the organizers will share the context later on, and I'm always open to answer in the email or two. Thank you, guys, and have a nice evening. Bye.
Yes. Thank you. Bye. And of course, if these mentors are cool with it, we will share their info that you can contact them. But we still have Karo. If you want to say your couple of words about portfolios.
Yes. Oh my God. Totally agree with what was said. Tailor your portfolios to where you want to apply. Like anyone who's worked or like anywhere applied anywhere with a portfolio knows that if you make a generic portfolio that shows I can do a little bit of this, but I could also do a little bit of that, it's a risk, especially if you don't know what the place you're applying for is working on in-house right now. If you happen to know that they are working with something sci-fi, but what they've released is fantasy so far, send in all the sci-fi work if you know that is the job they'll be needing you for. But yeah, going with the first, Minna, great fan, seen her work before, and my only feedback was that I'm seeing 2 things. I'm seeing fantasy and I'm seeing destruction desert, like 2 sides of the coin. Maybe like I know the forests are amazing, they are beautiful, but maybe cut one of them out and maybe put in oh no, don't cut the trees. Some diversity. You have the amazing sci-fi there, like the end of the world, and you have the beautiful serene fantasy worlds. Is there something in between? Can we have a taste from there? Kevin, I like this is something I struggle with. Details. There's a lot, and I think like less would be better. Like I said, probably ArtStation could give you the like presentation tools that are more standard, so you get everything nicely in line. And this kind of ties with Nikolai's portfolio as well. Less is more. Put your strong work in the this is personal. I like to put my strong work in the beginning, but my absolutely strongest work in the end. Because when you're done scrolling and you turn around like, hey guys, look at this application, they're gonna see that the last work's probably gonna be the first thing everyone sees. It's gonna stand in the screen the longest. and that's like, oh, it ended here. Okay, let's look at this again. So less, and you want to start off probably strong and end up strong. That's just my personal preference in that matter. Thank you.
Good ideas. Good stuff. I gotta say I agree with pretty much all you guys said. I guess the common thing to say here, or to take away, is that when you're applying, because some of these left in a comment that they've applied and they haven't heard, and they're wondering what's wrong. So with the I think all of you kind of said like trim it down, but don't just trim it down. Like I've personally been the recommender and gone through a couple of artist friends' portfolio when they're applying somewhere. So look what the company, like I think someone has said this, like, but look at what the company is doing, and if there's a role you're applying for, if it's a character designer, make characters and make sure that they're fantasy. If the company makes a lot of fantasy, or like if they make cute animals, make cute animal characters, like, or if it's buildings, like just focus. For example, I think you mentioned like. Nikolai here. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of interesting stuff, but there's too much stuff. Like this feels almost more like a coffee table book that I could browse through than like a portfolio. Just like I would say, I don't know if one of you said like 5 works, but I would like 5 strong works is a good amount. More than that, and the person is gonna start to kind of like flip them through, like, there's more. Let's see. But if it's 5, they take their time and they will be like, okay, this one, and maybe they can be different. Like, like this is a character, this is a young character, this is a strong character. Like if it's, if you're doing a character design thing or something, like just, like work on that, like do that. Don't just try to throw everything out there. And I think that's what everyone's been saying. Like, don't put, like Garo said, you don't have post-apocalyptic, you have fantasy, and like kind of you had characters, you have guns, you have 2D, 3D, just like, just find like a focus and trim it down heavily. Like on ArtStation, if this is just your like normal portfolio, for example, with Minna here, like that's okay. But like if you're applying, then you gotta like choose the really top ones and put that in when you're applying, and then you can have a link for here if they want to come and they want to see more. That's cool. But like in the first thing that you send to them, make it as easy as possible. No videos, no nothing. That can be later on, but you gotta have those like 5 things that kind of catch your attention. But yeah, I think we're kind of running out of time here. So really quickly, I'm just gonna say, so if you remember the one with the lady and the robots, the picture, the Milka sent a comment to us thanking for the feedback. So I don't know if someone mentioned it, but like the metal structure in front, they were made in Blender and then painted on top because they said that they didn't have the technical skill for that yet, so they cheated a little bit. And like Ivan said, cheating is okay as long as you you heard it first at IGDA Finland. Cheating is okay. But yeah, so they did that, and they didn't know how to continue it, so they kind of maybe just went a little bit everywhere because of that. And they said, like, maybe I redo this piece after 5 years. That's a good idea. I always really enjoy seeing when people redo their works, because you can not for just us, but like for yourself, you can see how much you've kind of gotten further. But yeah, so I hope this was good feedback for all the budding artists out there. Wait, I'm gonna quickly come back for a second. Hello there once again. So yeah, hopefully this was some good feedback for you who sent your stuff here. I hope maybe the other people also got some tips and tricks there, and for the portfolio especially. I hope that will help you guys out. Unfortunately, 2 of our mentors had to leave, and because this is running a little bit over time already, this is up to you, mentors. If you want to have the one-on-one on Discord still, like if you want to go there and hang out just in case someone wants to come, that is completely up to you. But because it's running out of time, we're otherwise gonna cut it out. But what do you say? Do you wanna hang on Discord?
They can write to me if they have questions. I think I will go, but I will answer online, so they can write to me.
Okay, like an email or a Discord, or
Discord is fine.
Discord is fine. Okay, so we'll make sure that we'll have your nick on to be seen somewhere in the chat, for example. Make it happen, team. And Karo, are you going to go and enjoy your evening with the ferrets?
No.
No?
They're keeping me company. I have no life. I'll spend the 30 minutes in case someone wants to come and have feedbacks.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so in that case, we're going to have a link to the Discord channel, and you can come and join Karo there and have a one-on-one if you want to show something, or if you were one of these people who send their artworks. On my part, thank you for taking part on this April's IGDA event. This is really cool. Thank you, guys. You gave a lot of good feedback. And also thank you for everyone who's watching back there. I'm quickly going to say a few things about IGDA Finland. We're going to do, next month is our last month before we go to summer vacation. Even we deserve a summer vacation, unbelievable as it is. But yeah, so we're going to send a summer survey before the summer vacation. We just want to hear from you what kind of events you've been enjoying and what you want in the future. And next month, our last event is a little special. We're doing a three-parter. Every Tuesday, we're going to have a little event where we're going to talk of a very specific, like machine learning or servers for games and this kind of stuff. And working with AWS, and it's all going to build up to the Nordic Games Conference, where we're going to have a mentorship cafe where you can take part and talk with other industry veterans. But yeah, more about that. We will send you an email. We'll let you know. But starting next Tuesday for the 3 next weeks, there's going to be more events. Thank you for joining us, mentors. Thank you for joining us at home. And it's been a blast. Good night. Well, maybe not good night yet. It's still early morning. Evening. It's time for me to go, okay? Have a good time. Take it easy. And catch you all later. Bye-bye.